I'm actually going to start out by reading a segment. The first part of my book the first chapter is autobiographical, so this 2-page little bit will give you a little bit a better idea of who I am and where I'm coming from. It's called Becoming a Biologist. It's only 40 pages, so it'll only take 2.5 hours. I've been fascinated by animals for as long as I remember. According to my mother, trips to London's Whipsnade Zoo were among the highlights of my early childhood. We immigrated to New Zealand when I was 3, and I recall petting semi-tame kangaroos at a park in Australia en route. By the time my family arrived in Toronto, Canada in 1967, I was a dinosaur-starved boy of 8. Seeing them for the first time at the Royal Ontario Museum thrilled me, as they have delighted countless others. By the time I finished high school, my affinity for animals had grown, and I enrolled at Toronto's York University to study biology. I learned soon enough that studying animals at this level was often not in the animal's best interests. The introductory biology labs included a parade of formaldehyde-preserved specimens ready for pinning and flaying in rubber-bottomed dissection trays. I remember one midterm exam in which each student was handed a large, freshly killed bullfrog and instructed to dissect and label a set of prescribed body parts. I looked at the limp, shiny form in front of me and was saddened that her life was taken away for such a paltry reason. The abdominal cavity revealed a dense mass of eggs, several hundred nascent tadpoles. A year later, still stinging from a lab in which our instructor had callously snipped off the legs and wings of a live male locust with a pair of dissecting scissors, I performed a small act of animal liberation. We had crossbred fruit flies, Drosophila melanogaster, bearing different phenotypes, and it was time to record the distribution of characteristics in the next generation. Flies were kept in small plastic vials with a ball of cotton and a pasty food medium whose odor permeated the classroom. Counting the number of flies with white versus red eyes required exposing them to ether to immobilize them. The flies were then sprinkled onto a piece of white paper to be examined and counted. When the data collection was complete, the flies had no further use to genetics, and our instructions were to tip them into a small glass dish of oil placed at the center of each desk. The morgue, as it was called, was to be the diminutive Drosophila's final resting place. Well, rocking the boat never came easily to me, but I was having none of this. Once my little pile of dipterans had been counted, I pushed them off the edge of the paper where they were camouflaged against the black desktop. As we recorded our data, I kept one eye on them, and the ember of life soon rekindled, and within minutes the pile was twitching and humming as tiny legs and wings beat their way out of the ether fog. They staggered onto their spindly legs before regaining their senses and launching forth. I was thrilled as they took flight. The flies were my first step in refusing to conduct scientific research that treated non-human life as dispensable. They also charted a path for the values I want to bring to the study of animals. As I became more aware of institutionalized abuses of animals, I identified a niche for my future: animal protection. So that's part 1 of the book, chapter 1, or a little bit of it. And the next 7 or so chapters are really dedicated to bringing to light some of the exciting science that's coming out today about animals and what they're thinking, what they're feeling, their inner lives.